Just to be clear as a start, on disclosure specifically, you've met with the Chief Constable F-Grave and with Chief Constable Cunningham to discuss disclosure specifically.
Yes, and with Sarah Thornton, as you know, who's the chair of the Chiefs Council.
Okay. The National Improvement Plan that was being produced, some of the responsibilities obviously lie within policing. I just want to know what you see as your role in the commitment to deliver those particular commitments in the plan.
In my role, I have a sort of primary role in relation to resources and making sure that police have the resources they need. Obviously, if new powers, legislative powers are needed, then that's a conversation with us. I have a scrutiny and accountability role, David, in terms of holding them to account for delivery on the plan. And I think specifically within some of the challenges set out in the plan, as I'm sure we'll discuss, technology is a challenge, and the Home Office has a central investment programme in technology, including specifically a digital policing portfolio, which is, I think, £17 million to date, another £22 million this year. And within that, there is a stream of work to commission experts to review potential technology solutions in this space, to map existing capability, because one of the issues is different forces are doing different things and using different tools, and that needs to be mapped. And then finally, just for completeness, as you're probably aware, we're also piloting through Home Office funding kind of new techniques for allowing digital storing and sharing of evidence, because we've still got a system that is sending too much stuff around on CDs. So
I'm
it
sure
seems extraordinary in 2018, but so there is an investment piece through the digital policing portfolio.
I'm sure this plan will be met, but in the event that it wasn't, who do we hold accountable for it? Is it the Chief Constable lead? Is it the College of Policing? Is it yourself? Is it the later on CPS? Who do we hold accountable for the delivery?
Well, where sort of roles and responsibilities are clear, then accountability must be to those roles and responsibilities, and that includes the Home Office and the Home Office ministers in that. To my mind, the key leadership here, and I'm not sort of delegating responsibility here, but Nick Everett was very clear on this. We operate in a system where there's a very high degree of operational autonomy in the police system, as you well know. And so the primary leadership role here, I think, comes from chiefs, but the college has got an incredibly important role to support in terms, not least in terms of the training and the guidance and the codes. Sorry?
Sounds a bit like you're watching your hands a bit, Minister.
Not at all. Not at all, Chair. Because I've signalled to the top the importance of this issue, and because I think it is quite fundamental to competences in the criminal justice system. So as a Home Office Minister, I have a very high sense of responsibility to support where we can and to hold to account where we must. But in terms of what we've been talking about before, about driving change on the ground, addressing this cultural, attitudinal problem, in practical human terms, this is a process that the police have got to lead and convince us that the change is happening.
Well, where are PCCs in this? Because, again, the Chief Constable was very clear, Chief Constable F-Grave last week, 2 weeks ago when we saw him, that the responsibility for delivery was with Chief Constables, supported by the College of Policing. The PCCs are accountable for Chief Constables in terms of the operational work, and you have a role in generating the overall framework that PCCs work within. I'm just wondering, again, what measurement is there, and what role do you see in terms of progressing the plan and holding to account?
Well, I'm, as you would expect, you're entirely right, David, in terms of the importance of the role of PCCs, in terms of local chief accountability to them for the performance of the force. And as you would expect, I'm in very regular contact with PCCs of all political colours as I move around the police system. And what I can assure the committee is that on that journey around the system, I will be asking very regular questions, formally and informally, of both PCCs and chiefs about the performance of the force and evidence of change on the ground, coming back to our earlier point.
Well,
so you're quite right. They are a very important part of the map of accountability.
Okay, well, let's look at this specific then, if I may, Minister. We were told, again, 2 weeks ago that there's 123,000-ish police officers in the UK at the moment. We were told that 6,000 had received the training on disclosure that the College of Policing had brought forward. Now, I suppose my question to you is when do you expect the 123,000 officers to receive the training?
Well, what I'd say to that is in part what Mike Cunningham, I think, said in response to, I think, a question, a suggestion from John that those were small numbers. As you know, it's a new training programme that's, I think, effectively started in April. So I think they're quite encouraged by the start in terms of the interest to that. But I will be personally tracking those numbers. I will also be asking for evidence of which forces are fully engaged and which forces are lagging. And if I get if I see worrying evidence in terms of forces not engaging with the training, then I will be asking the question directly of chiefs and PCCs about why not. But I come back to the point I made before, and I'm not sure I got a perfect answer to this, but I know that we can't, because history tells us, those of us who've been ministers, that you can't just rely on numbers. You've got to try and get below the numbers in terms of trying to get assurance that this training is valuable.
But you just said there that you'll be tracking this, you'll be monitoring this. So again, if I asked a parliamentary question as a backbench MP in 6 months' time as to how many police officers have completed the training, would you give me the normal answer that says it's the responsibility of the local forces, or would you have that information centrally?
No, because I expect our processes of scrutiny, given the importance of issues, to be robust enough that there will be full and regular transparency on this number. Because training has been identified in the past as a failure, I would expect, it will certainly be a big part of my job, and I expect, because I doubt this committee will just leave it at this inquiry, it's part of our job of scrutiny to follow the numbers but also follow the quality.
One of the sort of potential flaws in the mechanism at the moment is the fact that the training isn't mandatory. And again, I just wonder as to whether or not you're happy with that voluntary approach.
Well, I said some frustration.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't. Yeah, whether you should.
I didn't let you finish your sentence.
That's all right. No, the answer is whether you're happy with the voluntary approach.
Well, listen, the honest view, the lot of any policing minister under any government is occasionally to feel frustration about your lack of power to drive change through the system, as you well know. But we have the model we have is one of very high levels of operating autonomy, and I think that is right. But what we've got to be better at, because as we come back to the first point, this disclosure problem has been around for far too long. We've got to be better as a system, Parliament and government, at holding the system to account for improvement, and transparency is a very important part of that. If there is clear drag, if there is very clear evidence that actually the system is not leaning into this and there are too many forces that are not responding in the right way, and I don't believe that will be the case, then we may have to review what guidance comes from the centre. But we have a model of high level of operating autonomy at the moment, which is right, but we need to be a lot more robust in holding the system to account.